Yes, that happened to be a very nice sunny day today. It's going to be about 5 degrees centigrade at night, but this day has been very nice. It's up in the 20s in centigrade. I'm thinking from Vrindavan. This is 25th of January 2025. Excuse me. Yeah, it's nice up here. The background is so nice. I'm trying to present this in a. If I was talking to my, associates, then I would definitely speak in a different manner. But I sure would like this to go out to other people that aren't directly my associates, or like that. And you can help me in this matter. Sit down here and take a deep breath. Okay, I'm just going to call this a shedding of tears, or shedding of blood, excuse me. Shedding of tears, shedding of blood. Okay. And I'll direct it to people that aren't my associates and try to get, get that sun out of the, there we go. Okay, now, that's good. Okay. Sometimes when we have a narrow mind, it's necessary for our own protection and everything. But then there comes a time when the narrow-mindedness excludes somebody that could help. So I was going to present something that if one gets a broad mind and wants to really know something, like a person says, I want to really know something about spiritual life, or my spiritual life, and then they investigate who can help me, who can give me a description. They get an open mind on this subject matter. If they really want to know deeply, because it may not be found right in their district. So one could, not to exclude or anybody, but to include people. One could just take the subject matter of that person who came to shed blood for others. Yeah. That person who came to shed blood for others. So let's see, give it an insight. And we could call this, right out, we could call this knowing the West Jesus Christ. Not the West, the East, there we go. The East, I'm on the East side. I'm on the East side. And he's at my West. So knowing the East Jesus Christ. 16 years that may not be so well known. So, if one takes a moment of deep thought, he would see that 16 years he was the East Jesus Christ. And actively, only 3 years did they allow him to be the West. So okay, there's a cultural difference in the East side, so it may not attract anybody to know the east side. But 16 years, he must have liked the east side. And it was definitely, obviously liked the east side, because he could speak freely. He could exchange with people at a certain level that he wasn't able to do at the level where he was at. He couldn't exchange with people. Here on the east side, he could exchange and they would understand his way of talking. And in the other side, on the west, he had to do parables. He had to make stories up because they weren't deeply understanding philosophy. That's not to say that you can't find philosophy in the parable, but here he could speak directly. So perhaps the persons here knew him better than the persons there. That wouldn't be a wrong conclusion, because here they didn't damage him. Yeah, they didn't damage him. And here he liked it. 16 years means he lived with them, chatted with them. They knew him as the fair-skinned. Here on the east side, there's so many names and everything, so people don't go by a name. They go by just a description. He was the fair-skinned, and everybody knew who you were talking about when you said the fair-skinned. And everybody loved him. But in the same way that he showed the authorities in his side that they were wrong, he showed it here too. But they didn't take such an extreme stance. Okay. I just want to present to you that part that I just turned off the phone because I don't have to start this over and over again. Okay, I just wanted to present to you an important part. And an important part. One could weigh 2 shedding of blood. 2 sheddings of blood. One, of course, was the shedding of the blood for about 6 hours. And another one was the shedding of blood from his personal body out of love for God. The shedding of blood from his personal body, which was awoken by his love for that person that sent him. That loving speech that he's having with him, where he even tells him, okay, I know that you know a different way to perform the same service without me having to go on a cross. I know that you know how to do this. You can accomplish it. But if still you would like me to do it, then I will carry the yoke. You know, the yoke where you put it on the ox. I will be your oxen. That is a statement of humility, you know. That is a beautiful statement. I will carry the yoke of this whole thing. I know what the circumstances are going to be and what the outcome's going to be and everything, but I'll go ahead and carry the yoke. during this conversation, emanating from his body was blood. Now, why is it so significant? In the West, they can only say, oh, a shedding of blood. Or maybe it was red sweat. It doesn't give the emphasis. Yeah, maybe it was just some red sweat that he had. And who is saying this? A fisherman. He's writing, oh yes, he was sweating red. But here, if this same situation would have happened in the association that he had here on the east, where he was sitting with other personalities and speaking philosophy in such a easy way, back and forth, if he showed that symptom, they would all lay on the floor and give their respects to him without a doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that anybody who knows what the symptom of shedding blood through your body is, they would drop to the floor like a rod. They would drop to the floor like a rod and start crying, because they would see the symptoms of the highest. I'm not talking about just love of God. There's different grades of love of God. Some people have a little bit, some people have a lot. This is the highest grade of the shedding of blood. So, one who understands the different symptoms according to the different types of ecstatic love, then they know that it's the highest. If the life heirs, now I'm talking about life heirs, but the life heirs, they surround the soul. And of course the life heirs go out into the whole body. So the soul is sitting there untouched, but the life heirs are going out. Those that have started the cleansing of their body for higher understanding, those life heirs are becoming, the light is becoming more visible. Why? Because in general, the life heirs cloud, just like air makes clouds out here. Well, the life heirs, especially the 5 life heirs, 5 types of life heirs, surrounding the sitting place of the soul, they cloud the soul. He can't see. And sometimes, just like here, there's great thunderstorms where you can't even see the sun itself, even if it's shining. Even if it's daytime, you can't even see any light because the clouds are just so dense. Well, some people are like that. Most people are like that. Probably myself too. So, as one progresses upward, these clouds start dissipating and becoming thinner and thinner. And the vision of the soul is permitted to come out more and more. There's stages. Like earth is the most dense product, right? It's the most dense. So when the life heirs can feel or propagate themselves, and they come in contact with earth, within your body, with earth. Then there's trembling. You're thinking of something spiritual and it causes trembling. Then higher than that is when the life airs come in contact with water, and that's an obvious one. You start sweating, or tears, excuse me, backside and correct. Yeah, tears start coming out incessantly, uncontrollably. Tears come out. And then in a higher state, when you come in contact with a more subtle substance, fire, then there's sweating. And in a higher state, there's horripulations. Well, they're going up and up and up, and you're getting more and more subtle, more and more subtle. So it becomes less and less cloudy. But there's still ether, there's still mind, there's intelligence, and there's false ego, false identification. Well, he did not have false identification. So he was in full contact. He didn't have to demonstrate this all the time, but it could be continuously demonstrated in him. But at this point it was so much love and so deep that he was praying to that person who sent him, that blood started emanating from his body. Why? Because the body loses control, because the soul has now, as the stages come, there's detachment. First there's detachment from earth, then there's detachment from water, then there's detachment from fire, then there's detachment from air, then detachment from ether. Ether is something, it's not nothing. Then there's detachment from the mind, because he doesn't need it. He's being directed by the soul. Why do you need the mind if you have the soul directing you? And then it goes up even higher, the intelligence. And true identification, true ego, not false ego. Again I say, and I could probably say it a lot of times, any personality here on the east side, if they saw the symptoms so high of the shedding of blood through the body, they would fall like a rod on the ground and start crying that they've been so blessed to meet him. He could have shown it here easily, because it's not something that he was just overcome by, it's part. It's just that personalities like him, they hide these things, because then people, they only speak of these things that they don't even understand. Why is he crying? Why is he trembling? Why is there horripulations? And sometimes the horripulations are so big that they make even bumps on your body. Why is there just profusely sweating? Why this? And they start telling their friends, and the people become attracted to that thing, and they don't listen to the instructions. So these people that are sent and come, they want the people to listen. They don't want to have them attracted to any of these things. But you should know that they exist. So in the description, I'll send you something about it. And it is totally possible. It's scientifically possible. It's called anguish. Now his anguish is in love. His anguish isn't losing this body. No. That's not where he is. His anguish is with love with the other person. Not in, I'm going to lose this body, I'm in anguish. So it's stated that when somebody is at a very high anguish for existence, he's in anguish. He's got this mood. Perhaps he will also shed blood. That is where, if you Google it, you'll see it. Shed blood. I'll put it in the description anyways. I just wanted to bring this up because sometimes you are missing beautiful things. This isn't to say, I'm not propagating this to down the person. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just giving you more understanding of that person. And understand that person is not a person like ourselves. Even the birth of that person is accepted as a bastard child because the mother wasn't with anybody, that anybody could say that it was the father. So they're left with only the decision, he was a bastard child. So that was the majority of the people that he was living around, that he was a bastard child. It was not accepted that he was sent, and that he could be sent, and that a lady can have a child without the propagation of a man. And there was none. She was alone when it happened. So the only thing is, she went with another man and had the child. So he's a bastard child. And that is a pretty strong statement. But again, if you were to go in the midst of his friends in the East, they would think nothing of it. Because here in the East, where he liked to be, and he spoke in deep ways here, I wish someone would get intelligent enough to look up, because it's written down. But in old scrolls here. I mean, you go for the Dead Sea Scrolls, and this would give such an opening about all his life. Of course, they want to hide it. I'm sorry, the enemy wants to hide it. The enemy of his wants to hide it. So now, that symptom here is accepted on the East. Why? There is evidence that one of the wives of a great prince was pregnant. And there was another wife of the prince who was not present, not pregnant. And she was even living in a different place. And the child was transported from the wife that was living with the king, and it was transported to the wife that was living with a friend of the king. Because the one that was living with the king was in danger. They were in prison, and already 6 children had been taken from the primary wife of the king, and they've been killed. So they were in great danger that if she has another child in this prison, the child will be killed. So by grace, he was transported to the other. This is like a generally known thing. And it happens many times. It's documented in so many ways. And they didn't have to cut somebody open or anything like that. This is done in supernatural ways to protect. Yeah, to protect. So here it would be accepted. He's not a bastard child. He was a divine light. He didn't need to go through some other man. No. He could actually enter into the womb just by the Lord placing him there. So it's no difficulty here. They wouldn't have to go through all the trouble of trying to defend him being a bastard child or not, because people would accept it here. And they would accept it on science, realization, proof, in so many other instances. Not just that somebody said so, no, but they have proof of what had happened. So those two things, if one does not, for me, if one does not delve into some investigation to understand this in deeper ways, then they're all right, you know. They're following him as much as they can. And perhaps they say they don't need to know. Perhaps they say like that. But when you have such clear understanding, your love is increased a lot. It's improved a lot. Not a little bit, a lot. I just wanted to present that to you, and I hope it gets to people, that it could be valuable to them. And people that I respect. I respect Stu Peters. I listen to the Stu Peters, and he's always saying how down the Hindus are because they drink cow urine, and how they even take cow dung and put it on their skin. One would just have to take a second. Go to Jain, 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 cow urine therapy, and you will see the value of cow urine. And because the person takes a stance that these people, they just drink cow urine and put cow stool on their body, and what they do, without knowingly, they attack what they're trying to prove as dangerous. He's trying to prove that the fake vaccine was very dangerous. So let's think. What was it? You have to have a carrier. When you do a vaccine, you want to do something really good and kill off a few million people, because there's too many people in the world. When this is happening, you want a good carrier. So, I'm not saying, but one should realize that the best carrier that they came up with was blood serum. Okay, now, they were really intellectual. They went to blood serum, but they want to have blood serum that will do the best job for them. Not for us, because we die, but for them. So they know. Other people don't know, but they know the science. And they're using the science against you. And you're not taking account. So they'll keep on doing it. So the cow is the closest to human existence, the closest. And the DNA and everything is the closest to human existence. So, please note this. In my blood is being carried my emotions. And my emotions at death could be very, very high. So what is the emotion at death? Of course it is, I have existence and I want to keep on existing. That is the symptom of consciousness. So now you're coming to kill me. Okay? So now my blood is being propagated by fear, heavy fear. And then it's even made worse with anger. I'm going to get back at this person. At one point, they know these scenes. There's two stages in their type of blood that they drink. First stage is that the person just is put in great anxiety. And it's best to do it to a child. So you put them in great anxiety. And then you just make it feel like there's no way I'm going to get out of this, and they have to come to a point of giving up. High anguish, huh? I give up. So that combination, and this is how they do it. They grab the calf within the mother before it's supposed to come out. They pull the calf out and they kill it. So they got the two steps there. So they make the best serum. And that anguish, that fear and anger is within that blood. Perfect, isn't it? And that blood, the composition of that blood is the closest to a human blood. Millions and millions of times they did this to different calves. And the calf was of no use to them, so they just throw it away. And the cow might even die. Yeah. So in some slight, this is heavy, but in some slight way, the meat that people are eating is from a cow that was standing in line. It's got consciousness. It knows where it is. It knows how to walk. It knows how to express itself. It's got consciousness. Don't say it doesn't have any consciousness. It is conscious of its existence, and it is willing to live, not to die. It has a great thrust to keep its existence. So when you slice it, of course there is great anger. Not as much as when the child is pulled out and chopped up. Not as much, but enough. And what does this do? This ruins your heart. And it creates disease. It creates disease. That is why it's been said, like, don't take meat that has blood. But the translation of the old word isn't just blood. It could be noted down as the genes, the DNA, and everything else. So you can't take that. To be perfectly kosher, you better do everything. You better do it, and you can't do it. let's put it frankly, you can't do it. So the cow will get back at you. There's no slaughterhouse where the cows don't know what's going on. I mean, if you think the cow in front of the other cow doesn't send a message, then you have no intelligence at all. So in a slaughterhouse, even if you just walk into a slaughterhouse, it's like so horrifying. And on the subject matter of the blood, there is proof that blood from cows that are slaughtered, because sometimes a cow just dies naturally, not because of some disease or anything like that, and then no problem. That same blood, cow blood, does not have that anger and fear. Doesn't have it, because it died naturally. Just by nature's way, it died. Even a cow just before dying stops eating. Yeah, the cow before dying just stops eating and is ready to go. I've seen them so many times. They'll just sit down and you try to feed them because you don't want them to leave. You want them to get healthy and everything, and they will not even eat. They'll just come to a point, nope, this is time to go. So their blood is not going to have the same effect. But you won't find cows that just died and somebody's going to give you the meat from them. Yeah, died naturally meat, well, I don't think you'll ever find it in any of the stores. Anyways, people should reflect on these things. One thing is, you should investigate what was going on with the East Jesus Christ. Why don't you follow him in the East and see if you can learn something from the East. You may be surprised how much you possibly, I'm not judging love for him, but love with strength. Love with strength of knowledge and logic. Not just love with no knowledge, but love with strength and knowledge. That is a stronger type of love. So I would say that the love that they had for him in that city, Jagannath Puri, The city is called Jagannath Puri. Or you can put Puri, P-U-R-I. Yeah. And he stayed in a proper place. He didn't just stay in any place. He stayed where many philosophers stayed. That's where he stayed. And of course they wrote things down for everybody who was staying there when they would speak, but they wrote things down of his while he spoke there. And in 16 years he probably spoke a lot. It would behoove somebody to investigate. And for me, the blood that he shed in that high ecstatic love is more valuable than anything else. I'm not going to compare it with the cross, but it's most valuable. Most valuable. And thinking and meditating on that, and thinking he's already gone through the stage of trembling, he's already gone through the stage of shedding tears, he's already gone through the stage of horripilations, he's already gone through all these different stages, he's already gone, and now he's at the stage where blood is coming out, a high anguish. High anguish. And they've actually, because sometimes people, they want to commit suicide and they jump out of a building, but for some reason they don't die. So they always have somebody asking them how they felt and everything. And just before you hit the ground, and they always say that it's taken a long time. You think it's fast, but actually it's very slow. You go into a different dimension. So before you hit the ground, you release the body. High anguish state, you immediately release the body. You may, think you give up the body with no difficulty at all. I'm going to hit this floor and I'm going to be dead. So they've found that these people that lived through these things, they had that feeling that they just, it was like and for them it was like this happiness, incredible happiness. Hard for us to understand that, but it's an incredible happiness. Happiness at the extreme, that I've released the hold on my body. And I'm ready to go. So that's another protection that's there, that it was made in all of us. At that high anguish state, we can release our hold on this body and let it go. I'll go ahead and end it right there, and I'll put some details in the description talking about the different stages, and also showing you, I hope I can find it, but how anguish is the highest thing that will make even a person's blood come through the pores of his body. Those are two things that I'll try to add in the description. I just hope that it has made sense. If someone able to get this to personalities like Dr. Shiva, who is very intelligent, or Stu Peters. I have Stu Peters, email and everything, and I was able to comment on the Rumble. And of course Rumble says that they are very liberal. They're not mainstream, they're very liberal, but sometimes they get to a point where you can't be so liberal. So at one of those times where I wanted to express what I know, and on Rumble, these people I respect. I respect Stu Peters, and he made a beautiful video. He's made many beautiful videos, you know. Rumble took me off. I went to Flashpoint, and Flashpoint has some very nice preachers there, respectful. So one time they did mention Moses, so I said I'll comment about Moses. So I commented about Moses, that Moses was not a fighter. He was more in the priestly stage. And after 40 years, remember they were wandering 40 years, and you have to look, it's only about 750 kilometers that they had to go. Maybe up to 1,000, but no more than that. But it took 40 years. Why? Because there was always fighting in amongst them. So he did approach his father-in-law, who was the head priest of the Pharaoh. He had married the head priest of the Pharaoh's daughter. So he did know a science, not a hocus-pocus magic man, but a science. He did know it. So here he is, he has saved them, and on the first day they do a blood sacrifice of children, which really throws him off, and he yells, "Kill them." So I put a video link, and it talks about how the own family members killed those who did that blood sacrifice. And I think it comes out to be about 5,000 people. There was millions of them. There was millions of them going with Moses. It wasn't a few people, it was millions. So here, their own family members went with the statement of Moses, "Kill them." So I pointed it out. Moses was a little upset. He didn't just stop, or he didn't just throw the 10 Commandments, but he told them, "Kill them." So then after 40 years of wandering in the forest all over the place, and we are so blind, they are walking down the trade routes. We are thinking that, oh, those trade routes were nothing because what we find now. Those trade routes were used by thousands of people. Those trade routes had hotels on the side of the trade route. Why hotels? Because people needed to stay someplace at night. And they could pay because they were traders. They went all the way to China, through India and coming back, going to Egypt and going into Africa. So they were pretty wealthy people. Those trade routes were well kept and well guarded. Still, sometimes there was people coming in and raiding and things like that. So we have such a lousy understanding what's going on at that time. So as they're getting to the Jordan, and they're just about to go over the Jordan, and they're looking down, Moses, he decided to stay up. Actually he went down and then he climbed back up. But he didn't go alone up. He went with Joshua. Joshua was his dear friend. He was his dear friend. So, but Joshua, he was a fighting person. I mean, like war fighting person. He was a great fighter. He was a great general. Moses was a priest. He was a priestly person. He didn't want the fighting. So Moses, seeing the promised land, some say that he was told he couldn't enter. Okay, all right. I don't accept it. So then Moses takes Joshua up alone, and of course his family left also. That Moses' family. And he tells Joshua, tomorrow you cross, wish you the best of luck, and you're in charge because I'm not going over. Tell them that I died. Don't tell them that I just left. Tell them that I died. And also, you know, he doesn't want to fight anymore. I wouldn't blame him. 40 years of even fighting with your own people and having so much trouble from other people. And Joshua, he has to fight. Don't think the promised land was like a gift wrap. Here's the promised land, land of milk and honey. Yeah, that's how it's presented. No, they had to fight for it. Canaans or the Canaans, they were there. So they had to fight for it. So it's logical. Moses just went, no, better I just go a different way and you just tell them that I died. Well, because of that, I was taken off. Because I'm not against them saying that he died. I'm not against, if they'd even made a tomb for him, they even made 30 days of mourning for him. It's all right. But I take the stance that he went east. He's right there, standing right at the top, and he didn't go down that valley. He went down the valley, came back up, and he's standing at the top of that mount, and he is taking off for the opposite direction. Say what you want to, Joshua. I'm going that way, and you're going that way. His job was done. Did he have to suffer anymore? His job was done. And to show how much they do fight, quite a few of the tribes left. It's not that everybody stayed, all 12 tribes stayed. No, there was heavy-duty fighting amongst themselves. Somebody can correct, I think it was up to 7 tribes left. And where did they go? They went east. The easy route is just to go east. Looks like they took the same notion that Moses took. Better just bow out of this situation and go a different way. He was going to have to fight everybody that was already on that land and throw them off. It wasn't, I don't know how to put it. It wasn't that God all of a sudden just did a genocide and swept the whole place and told them, here's the land. No. No. Another point about Moses that the Masons may be angry at is that Moses learned everything that the Egyptians had, but their way of teaching him and his way of learning was there's a supreme God. So all those books that the Masons have, they have taken that humor of all these scriptures of the pharaohs. They have taken that humor that is how to love God. They've taken the copyright, thrown it away, and put their own way, how to either become God or how to conquer God. So their proposal is how to conquer God or conquer God or be God. But it uses the same scriptures. So you can look it up, because I feel very sad about it. Two men in the 1990s, they took all the 4 books, luminary books of the Egyptians. They took them all 4, and they retranslated them with the humor that there's one, or the mood, the humor or the mood of the recognition of one God. They translated a total different vision. Totally different vision. Pike, he's a famous one who presents the Mason view. And these were trying to present the original view. Well, I'm pretty sure those 2 boys disappeared, because I can't find them anywhere. So it's stolen property. The Masons may call one cell, they in amongst them, they may consider one rank, but it's all stolen property. And it's all counterfeit. It's all counterfeit. It's all stolen property. If anybody wants to participate with the Masons, go right ahead, you know. I know some of our forefathers were with the Masons, but they didn't have what we have now to investigate. They didn't have. Even Pike couldn't get the investigation that we could get at this time. So I hope his name was Pike. He made a lot of study on the Masons' books. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a very nice day.